Hey guys, what's up? It's Tom. Let's talk about, is there gonna be a market crash? So when it comes to private aviation, there are three things going on right now that lead some people to think that there's going to be a market crash. Let's talk about them. Number one, prices going down. So what we saw at the beginning of the year, prices were up 26% since 2020. That's just bananas. For the first time though, in quarter four, we start seeing prices decline by 4%. So prices are going down, that must mean the market's gonna crash. Let's talk about what else is going on. Inventory is going up. There are more planes on the market now than there were just a few months ago. So if their prices are going down, inventory is going up, is a crash imminent? Let's talk about number three, inflation. Inflation, we've all heard it, stagflation, recession, all those buzzwords. What does that mean? That must mean that there's gonna be a market crash. Well, let me talk about all three of these things and tell you why I don't think they're actually going to lead to a huge market crash. More than likely, what we're gonna see is more of a correction or a stabilization when it comes to private aviation. Over all of this, what you have to remember is private aviation is one of those things where, first of all, the owners are pretty, how can I put it? They're aware of what the markets are doing and they've pretty much planned ahead that they could weather the storm. A lot more than maybe what you might see in your average homeowner, your average, working middle class American. Like they're gonna feel the impact of the storm a lot sooner and a lot more negatively than people who are owning private jets. So that's just kind of the overall thing. Now, when we're seeing prices go down, all that means is that prices have peaked, basically. You can only ask so much for a 1990s and 1980s private jet. So the lowering of prices is really showing more of a peak of a price point than signaling a crash, in my opinion. When we talk about inventory, well, there's a lot of reasons why people can put their jets on the market, most especially and most notably now. Owners just want to see what's their jet worth. What can I get for it? Maybe they're thinking about getting out of private aviation. Maybe they want to go to a charter because they're not using as much. Like there's just a ton of reasons why people sell their jets. And just because there's more inventory available doesn't mean that the market's going to crash or anything. It just means more people are interested or open to the idea of selling. But think about this. The asking price is still remaining strong. Even though the price of the transactions went down by 4%, which is not a ton compared to 26%, the sellers are mostly stable. Guys are still, pretty realistic, pretty fair when it comes to their price points, and they're not moving off of that a lot because they don't have to sell. So because they don't have to sell, despite more inventory, doesn't mean that there's going to be any kind of a big crash like what we saw in 2019 when COVID was starting to hit. And last but not least, let's talk about inflation and why that might not lead to a crash like we see. Well, it's pretty basic. Like if they sell their jet now and inflation continues to go up, then the money that they get, the $1 million that they get for their jet is just going to be worth less and less and less and less. As time goes on. So as time goes on and inflation continues, this might actually lead to a price increase because they're going to want more for their jet. And like I said, they don't have to sell. The jet as an asset, holds certain intrinsic value versus just the cash that we can just see diminish as a result of inflation. So I hope that's helpful. I know a lot of people have this thought process of what's going on in the market. When's the best time to buy a jet? Is it now? Is it later? Here's the deal. When it comes to these jets and any kind of a market crash, what's going to happen is if an owner needs to get out of a jet, the first thing he or she is going to do, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call a professional. They're going to call a broker like myself and say, hey, do you have buyers? How can we move this aircraft? And most of these transactions, just like we saw for the past couple of years, are going to happen off market. The reality is if you're looking to buy a jet, you got to connect with a professional because they're going to have access to jets that you just don't know about. Your perfect jet probably already sold and you didn't even know it was available for sale if you've been looking for the past 6 months to a year. That's just the reality of it. So if I can help you, I want to. I look forward to connecting with you and I hope that this information was helpful. I'll catch you guys later.